Dr. John DeGarmo is married to Dr. Kelly DeGarmo. Oh, there's a paradox. You get what you pay for, and I'm a volunteer. So, his amazing wife, Kelly DeGarmo, is from Australia. It's in here. Apparently, it's very, very important. And the two of them have, get this, 6 children. They have both biological and adoptive children. Dr. DeGarmo and his wife are also currently foster parents to 3 siblings, bringing their household to 9 children. Dr. John has been a foster parent for more than 50 children over the past decade. He has a passion for foster children, clearly, and is driven to bring education and insight into general society about all things foster care. Dr. DeGarmo and his wife are the recipients of the Good Morning America Ultimate Hero Award and the Up With People Every Day. Must have been the cake. Let me start over because that was pretty darn important. Dr. DeGarmo and his wife are the recipients of the Good Morning America Ultimate Hero Award and the Up With People Every Day Hero Award. The two were also honored with their city's Citizens of the Year Award. Please welcome Dr. John DeGarmo.
A paradox. I love it. All right. Hey, thanks for having me up here. Come to Alaska. This is my 50th state, so I'm so excited just to be here. This is great. So I flew into Alaska last night, or yesterday. I texted my wife. I'm taking these pictures from the plane. I said, this place is absolutely beautiful. It's incredible. I'm ready to move here. And my wife said, and it's 18 degrees. And my wife said, I'm from Australia. I will never move there. So I never ever planned on being a foster parent. It was never on my agenda. I just had no desire whatsoever. To be perfectly honest, I had 2 misconceptions about foster care. First of all, I thought the children were bad kids. Second of all, I thought foster parents were weird people. I got one thing right. Foster parents are weird people. We've had as many as 11 children in our home at one time. We think 9 is pretty small actually right now. We've had as many as 7 in diapers at one time. I've changed diapers non-stop for 19 years. I should have got my doctorate in diaper changing. My wife and I go to work to rest. When we go to church on Sundays and we come up and we pull up in our car, it's like a clown car. Kids just keep coming out of it and out of it and out of it and out of it. So I met my wife. She's from Australia. We traveled together in a performing group around the world. During that year, she was actually dating a guy from Germany, and I was dating a girl from Sweden, and we both thought, hey, we both speak the same language, it'll be a lot easier if we get together, so we did. Got married, moved to Australia, and our first child died of a condition called anencephaly, or some pronounce it anencephaly. It's a condition where the brain never truly forms, and my wife was in labor for 92 hours. We both grieved in our own ways. She grieved in a healthy fashion. I'll be honest with you, I turned my back on a lot of things, including my faith. I turned my back on God. I was just so full of anger. Years later, we moved back to America. I'm actually living in Georgia right now. We flew into Atlanta with a 3-week-old baby. No house, no job, no car. Didn't know anybody in Atlanta. Flew into Atlanta with a 3-week-old baby. On my wife's faith and my dream job, which I'm not allowed to tell you about. My wife's so embarrassed by it. I can only say that it was entertainment. I was not a stripper, but it was entertainment. I know, those of you who have mental images, oh my God! And I began teaching in a rural school in Georgia, at a high school level, English, history, and drama. And I was watching a lot of these kids come into my classroom. And I had these questions to myself. Why are they acting this way? Why are their grades so low? Why are they missing so many days of school? And then I met some of their birth parents and I realized, aha, it starts in the home. So I said to my wife, hey, we've lost our first child. We have 3 healthy kids now. We have both led a life of serving others. How can we help these children who are in need? And after a great deal of prayer, we became foster parents. And since then, I got my doctorate in it. I've written, 17 books. I have traveled the country doing this on the weekends. I work with churches. And this is my family today. I've adopted 3 children from foster care. Can you tell which 3 I've adopted? On the second row, you'll see my only son, and by the way, so I only have 1 son and 5 daughters. Every time the phone rings about foster care, my son says, please let it be a boy, please let it be a boy. The girl next to him, she came to us when she was 5 days of age. She was our first crack-addicted baby. I had no desire to adopt her. Now, I did not want to adopt her because of this reason. See, I had 3 healthy children. I had lost my first child. I understood the miracle of life. So I felt if I adopted her, I would be selfishly taking her away from somebody who could not have children. Really struggled with that. 22 months later, and my wife telling me in the church, in the community, I live in a town of about 2,000 people, keep telling me this is my daughter, this is my daughter, this is my daughter. I realized this is my daughter. God had blessed me with her. So we adopted her when she was 22 months of age. The girl in the front row, with her hands clasped together, came to us July of 1 year. She was 1.5 years old. She was mean as a snake. I mean, mean as a snake. Meanest thing I ever met. She knew 1 word at 1.5 years. 1 word. Shut up. All she said was, shut up. Shut up, shut up, shut up. She hit everything in sight. She was just mean. Her mother was our town's only prostitute. And had a parade of men coming into the house. Now she's the most obnoxiously sweet thing you've ever met. She's about 3 things in life. Whatever, it's pink, her tiaras, and her foo-foo dresses. It's all she's all about. She's so adorably sweet. It's all about environment, I've noticed. I didn't want to adopt her. That'd be 5 kids. Didn't want to do it. The girl next to her, so she came in July. The following April, the caseworker came to our house and said, Dr. John, Dr. Kelly, the mom's going to have a baby. My wife said, hooray! I said, no. My wife said, can we adopt both of them? The caseworker said, absolutely. I said, no. And my wife said, well, when's it going to happen? They're talking back and forth. I said, I'm still in the room. I said, no. And my wife said, just ignore him. He'll change his mind. Because I'm thinking that's 6 kids, and that's the Brady Bunch. And I don't want to be the Brady Bunch. And by the way, when you have 11 kids, you're so far above the Brady Bunch level, and I don't have an Alice. So my wife gave me these instructions on the phone yesterday. When you go there, if you find somebody who wants to be our Alice, we'll pay for you to come home with us, all right? But we do go to work to rest. It's very true. Didn't want to adopt them. The following July, a couple months later, my wife and I were planning a reunion. See, we traveled in this performing group called Up With People, and people from 27 countries in our group, and we were having a reunion of them. We had rented up a lodge in the northeast Georgia mountains, 72 people coming from 5 different continents. I had not seen some of these people in 20 years. I'm so excited, so excited. The morning the reunion started, the very, very morning, the phone rings. I'm thinking, is this Hadi from Finland? Is this Kahunya from Kenya? It's Satomi from Japan. Who's calling me? And I picked up the phone, and the voice, very familiar, said, Dr. John. I said, no. She said the mom had a baby. I said, put it back in, put it back in. You laugh, but I really said that. And they don't do that. 72 hours later, they drove up the northeast Georgia mountains. Didn't sign any paperwork whatsoever. They said, we know where you live. We'll see you in 5 days. And a year later, I adopted both of them. Their mother just had another baby. What are you talking about? They are 3rd generation foster care, which means their mother was in foster care, their grandparents were in foster care. And the cycle had been repeating itself. Their biological mother was being prostituted out by her father at the age of 9. That's a normal lifestyle for me. This is what I see every day. The next slide shows you my life scripture. This is the scripture that I live by each day. Matthew 25:35 says, for I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was naked, you gave me clothing. That is these children. On any given day in America, there are roughly 500,000 children in foster care. In Alaska, in Georgia, in Indiana, I can go on and on and on. The numbers have almost doubled in the last year. There are not enough foster parents. I'll be honest with you, it is the hardest thing I've ever done. It's the most important thing I've ever done. It's the most life-changing thing I've ever done, but it's the hardest thing I've ever done. People often ask me, how do you do it? How do you do it with 11 kids? My usual response is, heavy drugs. Truth be told, grace of God. I mean, I rely on prayer every single morning to get through it. Face of foster care is changing of late. One of the reasons, maybe you've seen the slide right here, opiate drugs are wreaking havoc in America. There is an epidemic right now in America of opiate drugs. 33,000 people died last year of opiate drugs. Where are these children going? They're being placed in foster care. The next slide is the other reason why the huge increase in foster care population. Child sex trafficking. Child sex trafficking. I live an hour from Atlanta, which is the hub of child sex trafficking in America. 300,000 children last year in the United States of America were being used for sex. Over and over and over and over and over. Sometimes children as young as 8 years of age, 12 times a day. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? You know when the biggest week of child sex trafficking in America is? When is it? Super Bowl week. Absolutely right. Wherever the Super Bowl is every year, that is the biggest location of child sex trafficking in America. This past year, the police busted 541 people who were using children for sex during the week of the Super Bowl for the athletes and entertainers. Makes my skin crawl. This next slide right here is about a story that drives me every single day. I want to tell you about a personal story of my children in foster care. Listen, I've seen it all. I had the 4-year-old boy who came to my house with cigarette burns here on the scalp by his mommy. I have the evidence. She also had the evidence on the boy's roof of his mouth, his tongue, and his genitals. Yeah, I had that boy. I had the girl who was adopted by 3 different families over the course of 9 years, and all 3 families raped her when they told her they loved her. I had the 10-year-old girl who came to my house. And in our house, during birthdays, we make it huge, because sometimes it's the first time they've ever had a birthday. And when we sang her happy birthday on her 10th birthday, she started screaming, because her stepfather would come in her room when she was between the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, 9th birthday, and rape her for her birthday present. Those are the children that come through my home. But this child in particular, this is one that drives me. Sydney, I call her Sydney in my book Fostering Love and the book Love Mayhem. Sydney was 7 years of age when she came to foster care. My wife was actually in Australia at the time, visiting her mother. And she took with her our son. Our son was 4 at the time. By the way, I have to get this off my chest. This gentleman and I were having a good conversation earlier. So, sir, when I go to Australia, and I take 6 children with me, and my wife and I, that's 8 of us, and it's $2,000 a ticket, that's $16,000 just to see my mother-in-law. Do you feel me? Thank you for allowing me to share that with you. And some of you think that's funny. Well, she was in Australia at the time. She left on a Tuesday. Thursday, I got the phone call. I got the call. And they said, John, hey, I got a child in foster care. Will you take her? I said, okay, well, I'm the guy who asks questions. I had to determine pretty quickly, as a foster parent, if my home is the best resource for this child. Because I'm not the best. I can't be the best for all children. I had to determine if my family will be safe, if I can provide what the child needs, etc., etc., etc. So I asked questions like, how old is she? She's 7 years of age. Why is she in care? Her father raped her repeatedly. He's a registered sexual predator. He's out of the picture. Mom's on drugs, a severe drug addict. She's out of the picture. She's living with her grandmother, who's a severe alcoholic. The 7-year-old girl is responsible each day for getting herself dressed, fed, and to school. Breakfast is frozen hot dogs out of the freezer into the microwave. She goes to school 50% of the time. When she comes home, more hot dogs. Grandmother's either drunk on the couch or upstairs. How long will she be with us? Just for the weekend, and then she may go to another family after that. I said, okay, well, let me call my wife in Australia and ask her permission. We'll pray about it. Because if I had said yes without my wife's permission, I would not be here, would I? No, I would not be here. You understand. Yes, we'll drink. So we prayed about it. My wife said, "Do you think you can do it?" I said, "Of course I can do it. Of course I can do it. I'm a super foster man. Hear me roar. I can do it." She said, "Okay, all right." That was a Thursday. The next day's a Friday. I pulled together my two older daughters. They were 7 and 5 at the time. I said, "Girls, remember the other time those children have come to our house from foster care? I want you to imagine something here, first of all. When a child comes to my home from foster care, they've suffered abuse, they've suffered neglect, they've suffered abandonment, whatever it may be. 13-year-old boy was abandoned on the highway by his mother on his birthday at my house, came to my house's birthday. They have all those traumas and anxieties, but they are terrified to come to my house. Just because they're going to a foster home doesn't mean they're happy and they're safe. They're taken away suddenly without any explanation late at night from their mommy, from their daddy, from sometimes their siblings, their stuffed animals, their toys, their pets, their house, their home, their neighbors, grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, teachers, students, church members, taken from everything they know, thrust into a strange people with strange house, and told, "Here's your new house, here's your new family." And what does that child do? What does a 7-year-old child do? I'll tell you what she does. She asks these questions, first of all. Why am I here? When do I go home? When do I see mommy next? Why does daddy come into my room and touch me at night? Why is mommy in jail? And then, when I can't answer those questions, she cries herself to sleep. The next morning she wakes up, she doesn't know where the kitchen is. She doesn't know she's allowed to go have breakfast because she doesn't get food at home. She goes to strange school with strange people, given spelling words, math, a book to read. The kids in the cafeteria are laughing. She thinks they're laughing at her. Someone bumps into her in the hall. Her books go everywhere. And she screams, "I want to go home!" That's what it's like for these kids. So I was reminding my daughters, these girls will be scared. The girl said, "Okay." So we go down to the car. Car pulls up the caseworker, 7-year-old girl in the back. Girls, remember, she's going to be scared. "Yes, Daddy." Open the car door up. I said, "Hi, my name is Daddy," she said. And I said, "Well, hi." She said, "I love you." And I said, "Well, I love you too." She said, are you my new sisters? "Oh, I love you, I love you." And my girls looked at me, "What's going on, Daddy?" I said, "I have no idea what's going on." 3 weeks later, I went to pick up my wife from the airport in Australia. She had a long trip, 48 hours, coming back. It's 12:30 at night. My son's like this. My wife is like this. I gave her a gentle hug. One daughter gave her a gentle hug here. Other daughter gave her a gentle hug here. And mother said, "Let's just go home." I said, "Okay." All of a sudden, this little girl goes, zoom! "Mommy, I love you!" And my wife looked down at her and looked at me like this. I spent a long weekend. Well, it was a very long weekend. It was a year and a half. She had reactive attachment disorder. Most children in foster care have reactive attachment disorder. It's a disorder where the children have suffered so much anxiety, so much abuse, neglect, whatever it may be. They do not know how to form a healthy attachment with anybody. She was a food hoarder. Most kids in foster care do not know where the next meal is coming from. We could have a table full of fruits and vegetables and cookies for her. She's always stuffing food in her pockets. She lied like no tomorrow. Tremendous behavior issues. I was visiting her school principal at least once a week, but it did not matter. Because when they come to my house, there's no label. There's no foster, there's no biological, there's no adoptive. They are all my children, and I love them the same. See, I'm often told by general society that I can't do what you do, Dr. John. I couldn't do what you do. It would hurt too much to give the kids back. My response is this: that's how it's supposed to be. You see, child in foster care needs 3 things, I think. Stability, security, but what they need the most is unconditional love. Like the unconditional love that God gives each of us. See, when a child comes to my house, they need me to love them so much that when they leave, my heart is ripped out and it kills me. And foster parents go through something called grief and loss Every time a child leaves her home, it's like losing her own child. That child needs me to hurt for them. They need my wife to spend days on the bathroom floor in tears when I come home from work. That's the reality of it. She was with us for a year and a half. We were in the process of adopting her. I remember it vividly. It was December 22nd. Got a phone call. It's the phone. I said, hello, it's John. Hey, John. Sydney is going to go to live with her aunt and uncle in Florida, whom she met once in her life. I said, but we're in the process of adopting her. Yes, I know, but the judge wants reunification. The aunt and uncle want to take her. She's met him once. We're her only family she's ever known. Nevertheless, she's moving. Okay, when? Tomorrow. Tomorrow? Tomorrow. She's leaving tomorrow? You're telling me 20 hours later, the child who lived in my house for a year and a half is going to be with people she's never met on Christmas Day? This is not right. No child needs to be Christmas morning with strangers. Every child needs to be around family on Christmas morning. Let her go December 26th. No. Judge says no. December 25th, let her wake up at my house. I'll drive her to Florida myself the afternoon, but let her wake up Christmas morning with people that love her and have taken care of her for the last almost 2 years. Judge says no. So the next day, December 23rd, 20 hours later, I drove to child welfare. My wife stayed at home. My wife is in shock. And she is in tears. So I drove to child welfare. I got out of the car, and I looked at the aunt and uncle, and I know this is wrong of me. I get it. I understand. I've prayed about this a lot, but I looked at them, and I thought, this does not look good. I was judging. I get it. That was wrong of me. I know. It didn't look right to me. I gave her all of her presents. I gave her a framed picture of a picture that I took with her. We had it taken with her as a family at the Royal Family Kids Camp that we sent her to in Georgia for one summer. The back of that picture had her name, phone number, and address. And I said to her, Sydney, I love you. Goodbye. And 2 days later, Christmas Day, my wife and I cried. Cried. It was a sad Christmas Day. Well, it's 4 years later. I'm actually packing to go to Australia to visit my mother-in-law. I've got to go sometime, right? Yeah. Thank you. Packing to go that day, the phone rings. I pick up the phone. I said, hi? Daddy, I want to come home. A voice I had not heard for 4 years. Sydney, is this you? And she said, Daddy, please let me come home. Please let me come home. I said, Sydney, where are you? What's happening? Is this you? And she started crying. Daddy, please let me come home. I said, what's going on? Let me talk to somebody. So I talked to her foster mother in Alabama. You see, her aunt and uncle's stepson in Florida had been raping her repeatedly. The aunt and uncle knew about it. So they drove to the state line between Florida and Alabama, found the nearest state park, and they deserted her there. And the only thing she had with her was her picture from Royal Family Kids Camp with her phone number in the back of it. I said, listen, I'm going to Australia for 3 weeks. When I come back, we'll go visit her, we'll call, we'll send letters, we will start the adoption process, whatever it may be. This is my daughter of almost 2 years. The lady said she's difficult. I said, I'm sure she is. The lady said, no, she's really, really tough. I have no doubt. I'm sure she is. Doesn't matter. The 3 weeks I'm in Australia, I continue to hear, Daddy, I want to come home. Daddy, please let me come home. So when I do arrive I do drive out from my airport to my home in Georgia, I don't even unpack the car. I go straight to the phone, and I called, and she'd already been moved. I did not know where. I spent the next 5 years searching for her. Georgia, Florida, Alabama. I don't know where she's at. Internet, emails, phone calls, letters, visiting people. I needed her to hear before she turned 18 years of age and aged out of foster care. You see, when children age out of foster care, 55% will drop out of school, 65% will end up homeless, 75% of children in foster care will end up in jail, and the cycle repeats itself. I needed her to hear three things. She's important, she's cared for, and that she is loved. It was 3 days before Easter last year, I got a text on my phone from the president of the Alabama Foster Parent Association. He said, call this number. I thought he wants to talk about the keynote speech I'm going to give. So I call him up, and there's a strange person answers the phone. I said, this is Dr. John DeGarmo. Dr. John, we've been waiting for you, she said. I said, I'm sorry, who is this? This is so-and-so. She's the director of child welfare for Alabama. I said, oh, I'm sorry, I got the wrong number. No, we've been waiting for you to call. I said, do you know why I called? She said, yes. And then I said, oh no, do you know where she is? And she said one word, yes. And I lost it. I could not stop crying. See, since I've become a foster parent, I've become such an emotional cripple. My wife knows she cannot take me to any movie that has the name Nicholas Sparks attached to it, because I'm absolutely I host the father-daughter dance at our church, and we've done it for 11 years, and every year I say, please, DJ, don't play that horrible song, Butterfly Kisses. Oh my God. By the way, try taking 5 daughters to a father-daughter dance. Father-daughters dance, yes. So Easter Sunday morning, my wife and I, at the time we had 9 or 10 kids in the house. We put them in various homes. We drove with the children. We drove to Alabama and visited her. She was 18 at the time last year in a children's mental health hospital. It was so much worse than I ever feared. Where she cuts herself. Where no one visits her, no one calls her, no one writes her. In her mind, I kicked her out of my house on Christmas Day. And in her mind, when she called back 4 years later, I wouldn't come get her. The only possession that she owned from her childhood was a picture of our family from Royal Family Kids Camp. She's now 19 years of age. She's been released from Child Mental Health Hospital. She does not have an education past 9th grade. I struggle with this a lot. Do I adopt her? But I can't, because this therapist tells me she can't be around small children. 3 children I have fetal alcohol syndrome, crack addictions, meth problems, a whole host of problems. The system failed her. I cannot let that happen to a child again. We cannot let that happen to a child again. We cannot. When I spoke to her Wednesday, telling her I was going to speak at a Royal Family Kids Camp, she's bouncing around from home to home to home, boyfriend to boyfriend to boyfriend right now, and she told me her only happy memory in her life was the week she spent at Royal Family Kids Camp. And she told me this: oh, I love Royal Family Kids Camp. Please tell them thank you. This drives me every day. When you partner, with your support tonight for Royal Family Kids Camp, you just don't support them. You partner with Royal Family Kids, and this is what your partnership does. See, I get it. I know not everybody can be a foster parent. It's the hardest thing I've done. I understand. But everybody can help a child in foster care in some way, and this is the mission field. The mission field is in your backyards, is in your neighborhoods, it's in your city. This is it. When you partner with Royal Family Kids Camp, you will bring hope to children who have none. You will allow a child to heal. And you will bring unconditional love to children who may have never had anybody love them ever. You will change the lives of children in need. And you don't just change the children, these children go to Royal Family Kids Camp and they go back and they have a visitation with their birth parents, and their birth parents see their kids are happy and they're healing and they're finding hope, a part of that birth parent will heal as well, and you begin to stop the cycle. This next slide. This is a song I tear up every time I sing in church. Maybe you know the song, but I love the words. Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord. If you leave me, I will hold your people in my heart. This is what you are doing. This is what you are doing. As a foster parent, I can't do what you do. As a foster parent, I say thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you do. I write about it when I was writing this book right here, Faith in Foster Care, How We Impact God's Kingdom. I was writing about Royal Family Kids Camp. And I was just beginning to remember the connection I had with Sydney. God is giving us an opportunity right now to change lives through 1 week where a child can be a child and find hope, find healing, and find that unconditional love. So I prayerfully ask you to consider part